Hello everybody, welcome welcome to the live. Thanks for joining everybody. Hello, welcome in. Doing some nervous system and cardiovascular problems, so plus cardiovascular system, Just wash my hands, and my hands strip a little bit messy on there. Hello, good evening everybody, how you guys doing? Welcome to the live. We'll get started in here in just a few minutes. Here. Give everybody a couple minutes here just to join in, just so we can get everybody in here, as many people as possible, and then we'll get started. But welcome in, thanks for joining, thanks for liking the live. The more that you guys like and share the live, the more people we can get in here. Thanks for following, I really appreciate it. Always enjoy seeing some new faces around here. But yeah, the more that you guys like the live and share the live, the more people we can get in here to help with some nervous system problems and some cardiovascular problems. So I'll just wait a couple minutes here, get a couple more people in here. How you guys doing tonight? Are you guys having a good evening? Did you guys have a good day so far? Today's a lovely Monday. Gotta love Mondays, am I right? Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Try to get a little more people in here before we start. Hello. Blessed. Hey, Adi, hey. How do I say it? Fendu? Do I do different subjects each day? Yeah, I try to, yes. I know I did nervous system and cardiovascular, but a lot of people were requesting it. Some people sent me some emails. And it seems to be what a lot of people are on right now. Hi, Jessica, how are you doing? Hello, guys. Thanks for joining, and thanks for liking the live. If there's anything that you want to see, thanks for the rose. Yearly cardio. Yeah, right. This is my cardio. Thanks for the rose, Jessica. But if you want to send any topic requests, my email, it's on my website, but it's also right here. medzig.ollie@gmail.com. I will try my best to all these questions that will be on my test. Most likely it's it's just anatomy 1 and anatomy 2, so pre-nursing, pre-med, exercise science, that type. Would have been nice to see this on before my psych midterm today. Oh no, I'm so sorry. This is anatomy and physiology. We'll get started here in just a minute. I believe we are doing a psychology day. I think we're doing some psychology tomorrow morning. I think that's what I have on the schedule tomorrow. I'm taking anatomy right now. Our next quiz is on chapters 5 and 6. What are your chapters 5 and 6? Is that the integumentary and bones? Pathophysiology? Yeah, I can do pathophysiology. I put my email on there, so you can definitely send me a request for a topic. I got a test on this tomorrow and some other chapter. It's awesome. Yeah, we can go over this. Yes. Alrighty, let's get started, everybody. Anyway, thanks for joining. If you're just joining us, we are doing some anatomy and physiology. We are going to do the nervous system and cardiovascular system as requested by a lot of you. So we're going to get started here. So number 1, which lobe of the brain is responsible for processing visual information? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer, and then we'll go through. We're on number 1 right now. Thanks for joining, and thanks for liking the live. The more that you guys like the live, and the more that you guys share the live, the more people we can get this out to, and help as many people as possible before their exams coming up, and quizzes and whatnot. Anyway, you guys are awesome. The answer is D. Circle that. Occipital lobe. Thanks you for the 4 roses, guys. I appreciate you. Alright, moving on to number 2 here. What is the primary function of the cerebellum? I'm going to go over some of the BB So the frontal lobe is for like decision making, voluntary movement, problem solving, like personality stuff. The parietal lobe is for like processing sensory information, like touch, temperature, stuff like that. Temporal lobe is for like hearing, memory, and stuff. But anyway, number 2 is B. It is balance and coordination. It's the primary function of the cerebellum. I didn't miss any comments, but thank you for the 4 roses, Goddess Galore. Appreciate you. Number 3, the olfactory nerve, the cranial nerve 1, is responsible for. And what would that be? What would that be? Give you guys a couple seconds. But yes, the answer is C. It is smell. Alrighty. Number 4, moving on. Which cranial nerve controls facial expressions? Which nerve? Have I done topics on tissue, skeleton system, muscular system before? Yes. You can go to my YouTube. It's linked in my bio. I have the recordings of them, but I can do them again. It's just my name. Or link in bio. But I have gone over those topics. I do have recordings of those, but I will definitely be going over those again in the future. Yes, I'll be posting this on Instagram as well. G equals medzeg.only. So give me a follow over on Instagram as well. That's where you can find these. But moving on here. We're number 4 now. The cranial nerve that controls the facial expressions is B, the facial nerve. But number 5, moving on to number 5 now. Just making sure I don't miss any questions on the comments. Number 5, which part of the brain is responsible for regulating a heart rate and breathing? Give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. Number 5. That is C, the medulla oblongata. How long after a stream do you upload it? So I upload it it ends up getting uploaded either the same night or the morning of, or like the morning after. So it should be up in the morning if it's not up tonight. I need to sleep, but I can't miss cardiovascular. Yeah, so it should be up tonight or tomorrow morning. But anyway, moving on to number 6. What structure separates the frontal and parietal lobes? Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Good to see you again in the live. I gotta grab my cat real quick. Anyway, so my cats are cringing me. Anyway, moving on, number 6. What structure separates the frontal and parietal lobes? You guys a couple more seconds to answer that one. Couple more seconds to answer that one. It's not D. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds here. So number 6 is A. It's the central sulcus. So the central sulcus is that prominent groove that separates the frontal from the parietal lobe in the brain, and then the lateral sulcus is known as the Sylvian fissure. That's the frontal, and parietal is from the temporal lobe. The longitudinal fissure, that's with the left and right cerebral hemispheres. So put these in red. This separates, I'll just put cerebral hemispheres. So I'm sorry if you hear my cat, he just has to poop. He always whines when he has to poop. And then number D, the corpus callosum. That was not a groove, but it's a large bundle of fibers. So. Alrighty. Are we all set on that one? So, again, the lateral sulcus here. This one is what separates the F. I'm going to put F and P from temporal. Alrighty. Are we all set now? Can we move on? Were we all set there? If I don't see anything, I'm just going to move on to the next one. But number 7, the primary motor cortex is located in which lobe? Which lobe is it located in? Which lobe? Give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. But yes, it is A. The frontal lobe. Good job, guys. Alrighty, moving on. Which cranial nerve is responsible for both hearing and balance? Honestly, looking back, I shouldn't have given the names. I just should have given the numbers. I feel like sometimes the names can give them away. I didn't really think about that whenever I was putting them in. Alrighty. You guys a couple more seconds here. But yes, the answer is B. The vestibulocochlear nerve. There's no cranial nerve. Eat. Alright, number 9, the thalamus is responsible for what? What is the thalamus responsible for? Sorry, guys. You gotta calm down. Sorry, buddy. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat meowing. He has to poop and he also wants attention. He's got attention all evening. He can relax for a little bit. But number 9 is B, relaying sensory information to the cerebral cortex. Moving on to number 10 here. Which cranial nerve innervates the muscles of mastification? Yes, a couple seconds. Which cranial nerve innervates the muscles of mastication? Thanks for joining and thanks for liking the live. I really appreciate you guys. So the answer is B. It is the trigeminal nerve. This is the one that is mainly responsible for innervating the muscles of mastication. Do we want to go over that one at all? I was seeing some different answer choices there, but did anybody want that explanation? We can go through like what the other ones do and whatnot. It's my class. I just learned that. That's all right. Alrighty. So the trigeminal nerve is responsible for obviously it elevates the masseter, the temporalis, and the medial and lateral. It's like it's like the weird. Honestly, I don't even know how to say it, but I'll just spell it. It's like the pterygoid. My professors couldn't even say it. But the facial nerve controls facial expression. So let's get this in red. This is more so facial expression. The hypoglossal nerve is for like tongue movement. Not like jaw movement, so not jaw. So, and then the vagus nerve. That's like responsible in like autonomic functions like heart rate or like digestion. Alrighty. Alrighty. Got the flash goal. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, moving on to number 11. How many pairs of spinal nerves are in the body? I definitely recommend knowing the difference between the pairs and how many there are. Give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. We're on number 11. How many pairs of spinal nerves are in the human body? But if you're just joining, welcome. Welcome to the live. We are doing some nervous system and cardiovascular system questions. I appreciate you guys liking the live. The more that you guys like the live, the more that I can get this out to as many people as possible to help out. Alrighty. The answer is C, 31. Ooh. So 31 pairs, 61 total, or 62 total. Moving on to number 12. The dorsal root of a spinal nerve contains what? What is dorsal root important for? The answer is B, sensory neurons. Number 13, the cauda equina is located at which part of the spinal cord? It's like one of my favorite words. It's one of my favorite in anatomy and physiology, honestly. Give you guys a couple seconds to answer. The cauda equina is like, it's kind of like the horse tail projections in a way. It's probably like the best way to describe it. But it's C. So it's kind of like that like horse tailish part of the spinal cord down at the bottom in the lumbar region. It's primarily in like L1 to L2. All right, moving on to number 14. What is the outermost protective covering of the spinal cord? What is the outermost protective covering? Give you guys a couple more seconds. Yes, it is C, the dura mater. Alrighty. Number 15, which type of reflex is fast, involuntary, and does not require brain involvement? I think it does not require brain involvement. Think about like whenever they tap your kneecap. What is that reflex called? Like the patellar test. Or your patellar reflex. Yes, I'm saying it's not the sympathetic reflex. It's going to be considered a simple reflex. Therefore, simple. What are normally simple? So if it's not this, it's not a cranial reflex, obviously. And we have poly and mono. Simple reflex. But it is a monosynaptic reflex. So monosynaptic reflex is something that's simple, like fast and volatile, doesn't require any brain involvement. Which, if you think about it, when you're at the doctor and they do that little test on you where they like use like your kneecap here and they like smack your knee and then your leg like flicks out, that's what that would be. Alrighty. Number 16. Which neurotransmitter is primarily released at the neuromuscular junction? I just made a video on this, actually. I've been making a lot of neuromuscular junction videos lately. It's been a good old trip down memory lane, that's for sure. It is very hard to find a good explanation of a neuromuscular junction, though. So I was like, I do know this, but also I haven't explained a neuromuscular junction in a while. The answer is acetylcholine. So if you have your bulb here in your terminal, acetylcholine comes out through these vessels down in here. I remember it from the video. Let's go! I have an exam on this stuff next Tuesday. Awesome. But yeah, acetylcholine gets released across here and binds to the receptors, opens up. It's the whole thing. I'm glad you remember it from the video. But yeah, the neuromuscular junction is like a whole process. Fun though. I think it's fun. Number 17, the cervical plexus provides motor and sensory innervation to which body region? The cervical plexus provides motor and sensory innervation to which body region? It should be just a question kind of based on your anatomical terminology here, based on the word cervical. So, if you know what cervical means, you definitely got this. You guys got more seconds to answer. But the answer is C, the neck and diaphragm. And moving on, what is the function of the spinothalamic tract? Number 18. You guys, a couple seconds to answer. A spinothalamic tract. So it's going to be B, carrying pain and temperature sensations. Do we need an explanation on that one at all? Are we good to move on? It really is almost just kind of a definition question, in a way, just learning like what's the function of the spine. But I can do an explanation if you guys would like. Alrighty, yes please. Okay, so let's go over what is the spinothalamic tract. So the spinothalamic tract is it's a sensory pathway. Considering it's considered ascending. So it does pain, temp, and like touch, pressure kind of stuff. So what this does is it carries ascendingly, so ascending transmission from peripheral nerves. So peripheral nerves to the spinal cord. then to the thalamus. Hence the name spinothalamic, so spinal cord to thalamus. So it's kind of like what that pathway looks like in a way. So your peripheral nerves takes it to your spinal cord, and then it brings it up to the thalamus. So your peripheral nerves are kind of for like pain, temperature, touch, pressure. But number A is wrong just because it's a sensory pathway, so it doesn't do it doesn't have anything to do with motor stuff. Again, number C is wrong because controlling voluntary muscle movement, again, it's a sensory pathway. And then D, regulating balance and coordination. Yes, in a way, sensory, but that's regulated by the cerebellar pathways. So this would be like, this would technically be called like the spinocerebellar tract. So it kind of gives it away in the direction, in a way, if that makes sense. So yes, D would be a cerebellar function. Alrighty. Does that explain that a little better? Just kind of the function and what it looks like. Also, I need to fix my screen a little bit, I see. Yes, already fantastic. Number 19, what structure contains descending motor pathways? What structure contains descending motor pathways? You guys kept on saying we went over like the ascending motor pathways, but what? Which one is a descending motor pathway? So you guys are correct. The answer is C. It is the ventral horn. Let me get it green. It is the ventral horn. So number 20, damage to the phrenic nerve would most likely result in the phrenic nerve. There's a muscle that the phrenic nerve controls that would kind of give this one away. So think about what the phrenic nerve innervates and what it's responsible for controlling. In a way, it's involuntary, but it can be voluntary as well. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds to answer. Thanks for following and thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys for being here and for liking the live and sharing the live and everything. The answer is C. It is difficulty breathing. Was there any issue with that one? Did we want an explanation for it? I didn't see really many people answering, so I definitely want to make sure we're kind of all set. The phrenic kind of originates from, so if you know like your like the three nerves, C3, C4, and C5, these are what's very responsible for like kind of life functions and such. So it kind of stems off from these it's a branch of these nerves. So one of the processes again is breathing, which most of the time you don't have to think about breathing. So if you have any damage to it, it innervates the diaphragm, so my school just doesn't teach it. Okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure. So I know I've had a question similar to that before in grad school, so I wasn't sure. Sometimes some people have it, sometimes some people don't. But we can move on. So number 20 asked the pyramidal dissociation occurs in which brainstem structure? These are some of these are a little more like grad school level, so it might not be something that your school teaches. I'm not sure that shouldn't be. Sometimes they are. I think this question is one of those. But I can give you guys a couple seconds for that one. It's okay if you don't know either. It's better to not know here than... So I'll go ahead and answer. Yeah, the answer is C. It is medulla oblongata. So this is where the... I can explain, but this is where the cortico-spinal tract crosses over from like one side to the other, and that occurs at the medulla oblongata. So this is where, like, you know, where your nerves on one side, you feel them, and then they cross over, and then you feel it in the right side of your brain. So right is left, and left is right in terms of sensation. This is the point where they cross, which would be at the medulla. So, med-omb. Number 22, which cranial nerve has the longest course in the body? I feel lost with it. That's okay. We can go through the rest a little faster. Sometimes some people may have these questions, sometimes they may not. So I can maybe speed through these if you guys want and get to the cardio section. The later we get on in the more like grad school level, these become in a way, so... How often do you go live and do these? I do these every day, Sunday through Friday, so just not on Saturday. The answer is C. Is the vagus nerve. So this one travels from the brainstem all the way to the abdomen. I'm going to go through this a little faster just in case some of you guys don't actually need to know this stuff. Thank you, I guess. Which spinal tract carries proprioceptive information to the cerebellum? We kind of talked about that, I believe. We took a little bit again. It should be in the name here. I can give you guys this one. The answer is going to be C, the spinocerebellar tract. Again, the cerebellum, cerebellar. So it travels up the spinal cord, up to the cerebellum, so it's the spinocerebellar tract. Number 24, a lesion in the Broca's area would most likely result in... If you know the Broca's area is for... I always think of it as like beef, like Broca, like bro, like... I always say that with like my mouth. So that's producing speech. So this would be the number or letter C. Difficulty producing speech. Number 25 asks which part of the spinal cord contains the cell bodies of autonomic motor neurons. So this would be the lateral horn. The lateral horn and the spinal cord is what contains this cell bodies of autonomic motor neurons. Moving on. Last couple of questions here of the nervous system. But we have number 26 here. What is the main function of the inferior colliculi in the midbrain? So this one, again here, so this part of the it's in the auditory part of the midbrain, or auditory pathway. Meaning that it is going to have auditory reflex processing, which is B. Let me erase that. We'll make that a little better. Alrighty. Would I say knowing the anatomy of the terms would help to answer the question, or is it memorize? Yeah, I definitely think, like, I can scroll back up a little bit. Yes. I absolutely think that knowing knowing like the terms essentially are going to help you with questions, because you can kind of deduce and like reason out like what certain words mean and what they stand for. So a lot of terminology just kind of gives things away sometimes. Like again here, this last one, like or which one was it? It was number 23. What carries information to the cerebellum. Cerebellum here, you just have the cerebellar tract, so it's like, you know. But anyway, number 27, the oculomotor nerve innervates all the following except. But it is the lateral rectus. This one is controlled by the abducens nerve. Which is cranial nerve, VI. I'm so bad at drawing Roman numerals. It is always so frustrating. It's like eyes are just so bad for me. But number 28, the anterior corticospinal tract mainly controls. It's going to be the posterior muscles of the trunk, which is mainly controls axial muscles. And number 29, which cranial nerve is responsible for baroreceptor reflexes and regulation of blood pressure? Again, we kind of talked about this nerve in terms of like which, taking care of like our basic functions to live. This one is going to be the vagus nerve, B. So B, this is what regulates blood pressure via the baroreceptor reflexes. Alrighty, and then moving on to the last question here for our nervous system before we move on to cardiovascular. The phylum Terminal is composed of. My watch feels a little tight. That's going to be C. It's going to be the pia mater extending from the conus medullaris. So these stabilize the spinal cord. Alrighty, so that is kind of concludes our nervous system questions. And he says, I was reading the CNS chapter last night and got confused with the movement section. So was it like the motor? Pat, please do more of the nervous system questions tomorrow if you can. Yeah, I can do some more nervous system questions. If you want to give me like what type of, if you want to see anything like specific, send me an email, medzig.ollie@gmail.com. Appreciate what you're doing. Definitely will be joining live. So yeah, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. We're going to do some cardiovascular systems questions next, if you're interested in staying there. But I will do some more nervous system questions tomorrow. But yes, please send them here. I would definitely take a look and make some. But Addie, you were reading the CNS chapter last night and got confused with the movement section. It is, so we're doing, I already did some hormones. I can do that another day, but today we're doing the cardiovascular function stuff. Because that's been what's been requested. But Addie, did you want me to go over the mode? Is there anything particularly you had a question about for that? Well, because it can definitely get complicated. Was it like anything with like this cerebrum or the basal ganglia, the cerebellum? Like what specifically confused you? Yeah, I have some hormone. I actually have the endocrine live on my YouTube. The link to that's in my bio, so I'll put or it's you can probably find if you type in my name. There's an endocrine system one, but I'll definitely do another endocrine live for sure. And then I also have study guides for it. Chapter 18 is hormones. That one has like my big old hormone chart. Alright, motor pathways from the brain to the spinal cord. We can do this real quick, just because don't really have many people in here right now. So we can kind of do a quick little thing here. Are we good with that, or do we want to move on to the cardiovascular system here? If not, but essentially, there's like two pathways. I'll do these in black. But there's the pyramidal, which is the direct. So I'm gonna put D for direct pathway. And then there's the extra. I'm gonna just put PY, pyramidal. This is indirect, so indirect pathway. Essentially here, our pathway starts in the primary motor cortex, or our precentral gyrus of the frontal lobe, so our frontal lobe. And then we move along into the internal capsule, the brainstem, and then so we're at the medulla. And this is where crossing occurs, otherwise known as cessation. So I always represent crossing like this, so left and then right. And then we go down our spinal cord, and then to our lower motor neurons. And then we have our movement. Is that the pathway you were looking for, Addie? I know sometimes some people don't have to learn the indirect pathway. That's why I want to make sure I don't go on like tangent or whatever. Yes. Okay, fantastic. Do you do the indirect pathway? Most of the time, I don't think you need to know that one, though. Yes, as in like you want me to go over it? Sorry. Yeah, I'll do some more nervous system questions tomorrow. I put my email up here. Definitely send me an email on like some on those as well. Oh, our professor is very detailed. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll go over this then. So the extra pyramidal pathway. This is like more for like posture, like muscle tone, like tone, and like coordination. So it starts off in the red nucleus, which is in the midbrain. And this is what balances, this is what maintains our balance and posture. This controls our extensor muscles. Oh, I can't hop up. Hello. Then we have, so this is what's called our, we have a couple different tracks, so I'll kind of point them out as we go. This is our rubrospinal tract. Then we have another tract, which we call the vestibulospinal tract. This is more so in for like the vestibular nuclei. This is what also. I'm sorry. Wait, no. This is I was wrong. This is flexor muscle, and this is extensor muscle. I'm so sorry. We good so far? I have a bug bite on my hand. I was wondering why I was so itchy. Then we have a reticulospinal tract. Essentially, this is for like reflexes, posture. And then we have the testospinal tract, which this is like head / like neck reflexes. Was that good, Addy? And I'm gonna move on to. Just to make sure before I move on. Thank you, appreciate it. Yep, no problem. So can I go over preload? Ooh, I hit my thing. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry. Let me take my thing and then I'll. Okay. But yeah, we can go over preload versus afterload for sure. So let me make a new page. So preload and afterload. So essentially here, the preload, which we should know, this is the amount, so amount of stretch, I spelled the stretch wrong, at the ventricular walls, so at ventricular walls, and it's at the diastole end. So like just before contraction. So before contract. Essentially, this is what is the volume of blood that returned to the heart and is filling the ventricles. So volume of blood returned. So anything that like influences this amount, so the volume, our venous return, EDV and diastolic volume, ventricle compliance, and then atrial contraction strength, sorry. So you also have, oh my goodness, it's so itchy. Anyway, you have what's called the, you probably will have to know this, but it's going to be the Frank-Starling law of the heart. Before I get into that, I just want to double check the comments, make sure. What does that correlate to? Yes, it is regarding the cardiac contraction cycle. But this is essentially what's saying, like, the greater the stretch, the greater... So this essentially means higher stretch gives us a stronger contraction, which gives us increased stroke volume. So increased SV, stroke volume. That G is coming with me. Alrighty, were we good on the preload? Does that help there before I move on to afterload? Yes, thank you. Okay, good. Alright, on to afterload now. I'm going to move these out of the way a little bit more. And again, this will be on my Instagram afterwards, so you can have these notes that we take. But afterload is the pressure. So this is pressure the ventricles must overcome to eject blood. So essentially here, this kind of depends on like vascular resistance or things like that. So what are the things that are going to affect this pressure? That's going to be SVR, which is your systemic vascular resistance, as I just mentioned. You're going to have your PVR, which is your pulmonary vascular resistance, blood pressure, and then sometimes like stenosis or anything like that. But higher afterload, so if you have a higher afterload, essentially it just means it's harder to eject blood. Does that answer that as well? Cardiac action potential, yes, in a way. Because I believe you're like cardiac. It's kind of like yes, thank you for that. Yeah, it'll be on my Instagram. So your cardiac potential here is like has a little plateau because of calcium. This is sodium. Oop. Potassium. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Alrighty. So let's move on to some cardiac questions here. I was requested by a couple people that we do some of like fundamentals. Okay, struggling with act potential concept in general. I did actually. I just posted another video on like neural action potential. It might help you a little more. Just because that's like a general, that's like kind of like the general concept, and then other action potentials like the neuromuscular one or the cardiac action potential kind of play off of that. So like a normal action potential kind of looks something like this. If that's a resting membrane potential. But a cardiac one has a plateau because of the calcium. But if you want to watch that video, let me know if that helps. Definitely. If not, I can maybe potentially make another video on it. Yeah, no problem. Of course, I am very happy to help. But anyway, it was requested that we do some fundamentals for the Excuse me. We do some fundamentals for the cardiovascular system. So we'll get started with those if you guys are ready. And if this is the end for you guys and you don't really want to go over some cardiovascular stuff, I definitely appreciate you joining. It'll be on my YouTube afterwards, the recording. But thanks for liking and thanks for joining. Like I mentioned, the more that you guys like this live, the more people we can get in here to help people and stuff. So I definitely appreciate it when you guys like the live. It means a lot. My study guides as well is on my website. So, alrighty. But moving on. Are we ready to move on to the cardiovascular system? questions? Are we all set to start these? Yes. Okay. Yes, awesome. Alrighty, so number 1, which chamber of the heart pumps oxygenated blood to the body? Thanks for everything you do. Thank you guys for everything. Hello, Melissa, how are you doing? So this is oxygenated blood to the body, so the whole body. So again, we have, yeah. But yes, the answer is the left ventricle. Again, if you ever need to practice, this is kind of how I always do mine. Like, this is your apex, so you have your atria ventricle, That's to the lungs, and this is out to the body. I'm great. Passed my Hezi last week. Thanks. Awesome. I'm so glad that you passed. Congratulations. That's awesome. Seriously. That is not an easy. I've been meaning to do a Hezi review. I'm gonna do it Friday morning. But I was looking at the statistics, and a lot of people actually fail that exam on their. I think it's like, isn't it like 64% or something? I think fail that exam. So congratulations, seriously. Number 2, what is the function of the pulmonary veins? Remember here, our exception when it comes to blood flow in like arteries and veins. So arteries, again, artery equals away from the heart, and vein is toward the heart. Yes, it's not easy. Yeah, I've heard it's hard. I've been looking into it. It's definitely challenging. I've even Do you mind passing? Questions are pretty straightforward though. You know you don't. Yeah. So we'll do a tease review for DD. We'll do a tease review Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I used Ollie. I appreciate that, Melissa. I really appreciate that. I definitely need to start going up over some like math questions and like the reading comprehension stuff. I really kind of more so just focus on the anatomy for it. But number 2 is A. Carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Again, the pulmonary veins are the only exception here to the rule where so veins have oxygenated blood and the pulmonary artery has deoxygenated blood. So the pulmonary vein is returning to her heart from the lungs. So this is our vein, our pulmonary vein. Bio and anatomy, rewatched everything you have. Awesome. I'm so happy. I appreciate that. That makes my day. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for letting me know that. But anyway, moving on to number 3, which type of blood vessel has thick muscular walls to withstand high pressure? If you're just joining, welcome in. We're going over some cardiovascular fundamentals. We got a couple seconds here, but the answer is C, arteries. Again, they are thick muscular walls, and these are very much meant to withstand high pressure. Moving on to number 4, what is the main function of red blood cells? Yeah, we're just doing some fundamental questions and move on to some ones that are a little more challenging. Just get our brains warmed up. But it is B, transport oxygen. Which part of the heart generates electrical impulses to regulate the heartbeat? So all the structures in here, they do carry electrical impulses, but which one is, it's more so known as the heart's like pacemaker. It's what makes the pace of the beat. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. My cat has joined the live stream. He's saying hello. I'll freak out if I try to put him on a camera, but he's cute. He's sitting here on my lap. He loves anatomy. But anyway, the answer is the SA node. So we have SA goes down to AV, bundle of his. Hi Pamela, how you doing? Getting off work shortly, but I'm here now. Awesome, it's great to have you here. Bundle of his, and then our Purkinje fibers. Only up there, but move on to number 6. What is the largest artery in the body? What is the largest artery in the body? But if you're just joining us, welcome in here. We're doing some cardiovascular physiology. It's going to be on YouTube afterwards if you guys miss it, if you missed some earlier stuff. Give you guys a couple more seconds here, and then I'll give you the answer, and then we'll move on. The answer is C. This is the aorta, right above the heart. It withstands the most amount of pressure, which is very important for how large it is. It has to pump blood all the way. It has to it's a muscular artery, which will pump it out to the rest of the body. So number 7, which blood component is responsible for clotting? You guys, a couple seconds. What is responsible for clotting? The answer is C. It is platelets. Number 8, which valve prevents backflow of blood into the left ventricle? So backflow. So if we think about our pathway of the heart, so our left ventricle, what valve is here that would prevent blood from backflowing? So where does blood get pumped to? Give you guys a couple more seconds. But the answer is A, the aortic valve. Remember, the left ventricle pumps blood into the aorta. So remember, this goes out to the aorta. And the valve that's here is the aortic valve. So the aortic valve is going to prevent blood. So once blood gets pumped from the left ventricle out into the aorta, it's going to prevent blood from coming back into the left ventricle. But I'll move this over to the side here so it doesn't get over the words. Anyway, number 9. Where does gas exchange occur in the circulatory system? Where does gas exchange occur in the circulatory system? Alrighty, B, capillaries is correct. Awesome, guys. Number 10 asked, which blood type is known as the universal donor? Universal donor. But yes, it is C, and that is because it lacks antigens. Moving on to number 11. What causes the lub-dub sounds of the heartbeat? Give you guys a couple seconds. This is a very important one, actually. Number 11. What causes the lub-dub of the heartbeat? 2 sounds of the heart. But it is B. It is closing of heart valves. So it's closing. So close. So if you think about like here, when you slam a door close, you hear the sound of the door being slammed. So I always think of door slams close. So the first one, the lub sound, is the sound of the AV valves closing. AV closes. And the dub sound is the semilunar valves closing. Were we good on that one before I move on? Because that's a very important thing you should know. That makes sense. Before I move on. And if no one says anything, I will move on. But if you're just joining, thanks for joining. We're doing some cardiovascular fundamental questions for anatomy and physiology. But I appreciate you liking the live. The more that you guys like the live, the more that we can get this out to people to help out a little more. Help some more people out for their exams coming up and whatnot. But anyway, we move on to number 12 now. Which of the following best describes systole? What does systole refer to? So systole refers to something. But it is B. It is the contraction of the ventricles. This is when blood is pumped. Blood pumped. But what is the role of the coronary arteries? If you think of where they are and kind of what they're meant, think of what kind of has to get blood. Give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. But yes, it is B. It's going to carry oxygen-rich blood to the heart muscle. So once it goes from the heart, it goes to coronary arteries. Then to heart tissue. Then to coronary veins / sinus. And then back into the right atrium. And these are the veins and arteries that are like kind of over top the heart. Moving on to number 14 here. What structure prevents oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood from mixing in the heart? What valve is responsible? Not necessarily what valve, but what structure? Sorry, not valve. I shouldn't say that. That confused. It's not a valve. I'll give that away. That was me not paying attention to what I was saying. All B so far, yeah. So far it seems that way, yeah. Sometimes they don't get mixed up well whenever I put them in. But yes, it is the interventricular septum. But moving on, number 15, which of the following is not a function of the circulatory system? This may potentially be considered a trick question. I'm not sure. Which of the following is not a function of the circulatory system? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. I'll scroll down a little bit more. All right, but the answer here is producing red blood cells. So red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow. It does transport hormones. It does maintain body temperature, and then removes waste for the kidneys. Will you do any more coloring lives? Yes, I will be doing more coloring lives. I've been getting a lot of requests for practice questions and stuff, so that's like mainly why I've been doing them. But I think if I do them, just because I like to try to make my Saturdays like pretty chill, like a little more chill. So sometimes I try not to, go live, or I work and stuff too, so I'm working on top of this. So I try to like no work, no TikTok. Most of the time I try to do that. So if I do it, it'll most likely be on a Saturday. I might actually try to do one this Saturday. It's fun. I do miss my coloring book. But moving on. Number 16 asks, a person with AB positive blood can receive blood from which of the following? This is college level course. Yeah, it can be. It's like pre-nursing, so it's like, early undergrad, technically. But if you are just joining, thank you for joining. We are going over some cardiovascular system questions. So the answer here is, it's good for T's. Yes, it is. This is for pre-nursing. This was requested by a couple people. The answer is D. It's any blood type because it has all of the specific antigens. I'm sorry, surface antigens, not specific. My bad. Moving on to number 17 here. Which part of the brain helps regulate heart rate? What is the part of the brain? We kind of talked about this in the nervous system questions earlier in the live. But I can give you guys a couple seconds here in the answer. So what is the part of the brain that helps regulate heart rate? I'll give you guys the answer now. This is the medulla oblongata. This is what does like heart rate and like breathe, like respiratory functioning. All right, moving on here. Number 18 asks, what is the function of the hepatic portal circulation? Hepatic portal. You guys got a couple seconds here to answer. Awesome. Awesome, good. It is C. It transports blood from the digestive tract to the liver. Then number 19 asks, which ion is critical for the depolarization of cardiac muscle? Depolarization. You remember what depolarization means? We kind of went over the cardiac... for depolarization. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer that one. Remember what the difference between depolarization and repolarization is? I do have some videos going over the action potential. So if you are having trouble with it, definitely go to my profile. I literally just posted one today on action potentials. So that'll definitely explain it. So the answer here is actually A, sodium. So depolarization. Let's go over. Do we want to do the? I'll do action potential of cardiac real quick. Would that help if we went over the action potential of cardiac tissue? Just want to make sure. Yes. Okay. So this is what it is going to look like. So we have here. This is our threshold potential. And what happens here is so first of all, let's just go over the anatomy of it. So it kind of looks like this. It kind of has this long plateau here. So essentially here, this is our depolarization phase. So this is depolarization. So when you think about, so you always have 3 sodiums entering and 2 potassiums exiting the cell in this through the sodium potassium ATPase pump. So whenever we want to generate an action potential, we want to make it super, super positive. So through the concentration gradient that this is set, we have more sodium. Or I'm sorry, this is opposite. Bad. We're making sense right now. But we want to get here. Our sodium in. Sodium. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to have calcium entering. And this is what's going to cause our plateau phase. And then we have what's called, I'll do this in blue. This is called our repolarization. So this is when we're going to have massive amounts of potassium leaving the cell. So that's what that looks like. Does that help answer the question a little bit more? Yes, okay. Fantastic. Moving on, which type of blood vessel contains valves to prevent backflow? So there is a blood vessel that does contain valves. It helps move blood back. The answer is C, veins. Valves kind of, yes, veins. They're venular valves. So veins kind of have, hold on. I'm going to look up a picture of them so I can draw them a little better. So essentially here, so this is kind of what they look like. This is our vein. We have valves that blood flow. So this is deoxygenated blood. So it goes through. And these valves, because they have to go, they don't really have as much pressure with them. They've lost pressure once they've oxygenated some tissue. So this is to prevent backflow because we want to get the deoxygenated blood back to the heart as easy and simpler as possible. So it's going to prevent blood from going back. Like if you think about it here, arteries, they already have like a lot of pressure going on, so they're already ejecting a lot of blood. You wouldn't want valves to slow them down, because you want to get the oxygenated blood to the tissue as fast as possible. So you would not want valves to like prevent the backflow of it or anything like that. That normally doesn't happen. Anyway, number 21. Which ECG wave corresponds to ventricular depolarization? Ventricular depolarization. We got a couple seconds here. The answer is B. It is the QRS complex. Thanks for joining and thanks for sharing the live. Thanks for liking the live. I really appreciate it. The more that you share / like the live, the more people we can get it out to. Number 22, which heart chamber has the thickest walls? Think about which chamber is responsible for doing a lot of the work of the heart. So it would need thicker walls. Yes, D is left ventricle. Number 23 asked, which protein in red blood cells binds oxygen? You guys a couple seconds to answer. Awesome. It is D, hemoglobin. Number 24 we kind of already went over. What is the normal pacemaker of the heart? It's the SA node. But what is cardiac output? What is the equation for cardiac output? Yeah, you guys got some. What is the equation for cardiac output? So it's normally... Gotcha. Awesome. Yes, it is A. Stroke volume and heart rate. I forgot to separate these a little better. Alright, so these last couple questions here are meant to be a little harder. Oops, I dropped my pen. Anyway, but let's read. Oh, I bumped my thing too. Oh boy. Number 26, during which phase of the cardiac cycle are the atria contracting? Find my pen. Fell all the way down here. So the answer is B. It is atrial systole. Atrial systole is when the atria contract, and this is whenever blood is moving to the ventricles. Moving on here, what structure directly stimulates the ventricles to contract directly? So we talked about the pacemaker, but what is it that is directly causing that electrical contraction? You guys a couple seconds. It is C is the Purkinje fibers. Good job. Number 28, which of the following best describes the Starling's law of the heart? Which we went over a little bit earlier. It's Frank Starling's law of the heart. If you were here earlier, you should know this one. We went over it in the preload versus afterload section. But the answer is A. The heart pumps blood based on venous return. Remember, venous return... Can I go over it again? Yeah. So, let's go up here. We went over it a little while ago. So, preload, again here, what preload is the amount of stretch in the ventricle walls, which is at like the diastole end. So, before contraction, it's based on the volume of blood that has returned. So our venous return. Again here, so our Frank-Starling law of heart is the greater stretch is greater contraction, which means increased stroke volume. So that would be dependent on the venous return. But moving on to number 29, what is the effect of parasympathetic stimulation on the heart? Thanks for following. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing the live, and thanks for liking the live. I really appreciate it. I think parasympathetic is rest and digest. Thanks for following. I really appreciate it. It's good to have some new faces around here as well. It means a lot. I think this is rest, digest. So it would be B. It would be decrease heart rate. But anyway, here, if we have a patient's blood pressure is measured at 145/95 mmHgs, what condition do they have? So our normal blood pressure is 120/80 mmHg. Thanks for liking the live. I appreciate you. The answer is B. It is hypertension. So that was all of the questions that I did have. The recording of this will be on YouTube, which is my name, or you can go to the link in my bio. These problems will be on Instagram, which is medzig.ollie. And then I do take topic requests for lives on my email. That's medzig.ollie@gmail.com. But that's all I really had planned. I finished up a little earlier than I thought I would. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. We went through the questions a little faster than I thought we would. Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you as well for joining. I really appreciate you joining. I always love doing these lives. I'll be back again, actually. I'll put my next live time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. If you guys have any quick questions, I'll stick around here for a couple minutes. Have a good night. Yeah, you have a good night too, Pamela. It's good to see you again. Thank you. Nursing again. Awesome. 10 a.m. Yeah, tomorrow, 10 a.m. No, tomorrow. Oh, gotcha. I won't see you there then. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys as well. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. I always enjoy seeing you guys. Thank you for the hand heart. I really appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much. It is too kind of you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. Congratulations again on passing your Hezi. Again, it is like, you should definitely be very proud of yourself. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about your nursing journey for sure. I'm still in shock. Yeah, no, I don't blame you. But yeah, no, definitely should be. But you shouldn't be shocked that you passed. I'm sure you worked very hard. I'm glad that my videos were very helpful to you. That definitely makes my day. It's always awesome hearing, but seriously, your videos help so much. I'm glad, yeah. If you ever need any videos made, especially like as you get into your nursing program, definitely let me know. Like I have my email there, so I always answer. It's the best way I learn. That means so much. I'm not a big crier, but if I could cry, I'd definitely be crying. It definitely makes my heart happy inside. There's no way to describe it. But are there any other questions here before I go? But if there are no other questions here, I am going to get going. I really appreciate you guys coming in here. But again, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be live again. And then send your topic requests to my email. But alrighty, guys, good night. Have a good rest of your night.